Welcome to Walking with Beau. We are walking on a Wednesday night in July 24th, I believe. I watched a Trump rally earlier, Charlotte, North Carolina. A pretty red state at this point. Pretty impressive, actually. So tonight I'm going to do a basic 5 mile, I think. Well, yeah, maybe a little diversion on a side street. Kind of feels cool tonight, but it's not. It's humid. But it definitely feels cool. It's like I'm not wearing sleeves. It almost feels chilly on my arms, but not quite. It's like in between. As soon as I get walking and I get a sweat going, that's why I didn't wear a long sleeve. Overcast. There's no rain immediately though. It is slightly breezy tonight, which is all right. Should make for a comfortable walk, I think. So Trump did a rally in North Carolina, and it was indoors. And the FBI and, well, actually the Secret Service was recommending that Trump do his rallies indoors instead of outdoors. I don't know if that's what he's going to follow for protocol or not. He likes the outdoor rallies. Who can blame him? So I saw an interesting video posted by Senator Josh Hawley today, where he was standing outside next to that building that the shooter was on. And he pointed at it and he said, as you can see, this is a little one-story building with a peak on it. Very easy to get up. Anybody that's got any kind of ability at all, especially a 20-year-old. And so apparently that's what happened. It wasn't very difficult to get up on that at all. Now they had an FBI testimony today from Director Wray in front of Congress. Electric vehicle. Hate those. Can't hear them. Anyway, he was testifying that he doesn't believe that the shooter even needed a ladder, because there's an air conditioning unit on the outside of each one of those, on each side, and he could have easily climbed up using either one without a ladder, which is probably what he did, but he said they're still investigating that. He also said that there were 8 spent shell casings on the roof from the shooter. So that confirms what I knew already, that all 8 shots came from one shooter. I had mentioned that previously. I don't think the conspiracy guys enjoyed hearing today's testimony, but that's why you shouldn't do that. So anyways, Looks like that's the case. Probably a lone wolf. Director Ray today said that's, you know, they're not treating it like that. They're doing a full investigation of everything. They're not going to say it was a lone wolf if they're not sure yet. So just because something looks like it doesn't mean it is. I guess is what he was saying today. So that makes sense. The other thing was up on the roof, it's looking like, and it's really sad to say this, but Secret Service, according to what I've seen, and I think they're being honest, is that roof was up to law enforcement, local law enforcement. They had agreed on watching it, and it was hot that day, really hot. And there was a police sniper in a window on the building next to that one, overlooking that rooftop. He left his post. What he did was he left his post to presumably, from what Director Ray said today, was because that photograph of the shooter had circulated. He hadn't been the shooter yet, but that was somebody they were looking for and trying to track down. And with the manpower they had, that police sniper left that window. Okay. He left that window to help officers search for that kid. And if he had just stayed in the window, the kid would have tried to climb up on the roof right there. And I believe that story. I do. Director Ray said they're going to go through all of the... Now, first of all, I don't trust Director Ray. I'll just be upfront about that. But nothing he said today goes against what we know already, so there's no reason really to not believe it. I guess what I'm saying. So basically, the police that were outside that building and the one that was supposed to be on that roof thought it was hot, so they went inside the building to enjoy air conditioning. That's what happened. I honestly believe that's what happened. Butler, Pennsylvania is not exactly, well, I don't want to say Mayberry with Barney Fifes for police officers, but they have a lot of officers like that. They got small towns, they got constables, things like that. Which is all the more reason why, in my opinion, Secret Service should have had the rooftops. So, because ultimately that's all their responsibility. In the end, that's their responsibility. They're the ones that signed off on local law enforcement having that building. So, so that's was some new information today. Also, there was three explosive devices. And from what Director Ray testified today, the devices in the van that belonged to him were out of range from his detonator that he had on him. So either he miscalculated how far the distance would be and didn't take that into account of it not working, or he was going to explode that as a diversion so he could get out of there, which is what I think. But they didn't say that yet today, so. So it was interesting. So this is the information we got today. There was 3 explosives. 2 were in the van and 1 was at the kid's house. Nobody quite understands what was going to happen with those. Director Ray says it's been kind of slow getting information because this kid was actually pretty smart with software and stuff, and he was using encrypted apps that do encryption, and he was encrypting his text messages and things that he was doing. So that's that makes sense. And he was explaining that it's more difficult than people think for FBI to hack into devices that use encryption. And he said this is the kind of thing we're dealing with today. He goes, this is just a 20-year-old kid, and look at all the problems he caused. He said there are people out there with more sophisticated stuff. So it's true. Very interesting. I could see the point he was making. We're in a new age of technology, and I'm sure they have their hands full. So if you think like the old way, you're like, why is this taking so long? There's no excuse. And then you find out actually why, and it's pretty understandable. So I got no qualms. Okay? It was one shooter. Like I was saying the other night, you could tell that by listening to it. And now Director Ray today said that about 3 hours before Trump went on stage, that kid flew a drone to surveil the area. So he was picking out where he was going to go. And he said, we're still tracking, I forgot the kind of data he called it, probably metadata or something like that, that can leave an electronic trail of tracking on his phone apps that he used. And he said once they get that data image, they'll be able to pinpoint more precisely what time he did that. But they did narrow it down to within 3 hours before, give or take. And he said, to be clear, he did not fly it right above the grounds where the rally would be, so people wouldn't see it. He was flying it 200 yards off in the perimeter, off the fairgrounds. So again, that's technology they have now. And I remember reading about an attempted assassination attempt on Putin, Vladimir Putin, presumably by Ukrainians, where Putin was giving a speech, and their secret service, KGB, whatever they have nowadays, they had some kind of electronic jamming device, and they jammed the drone, and it fell out of the sky, and it had an explosive device on it. So they were going to fly that drone and crash it into Putin and kill him with it, which they could, because they've been using those Ukrainians have been using those in Ukraine to kill Russians. They even have some that drop hand grenades. Things like that. So we're in a different age. You can't think like you can't think like you used to. That is now outdated, obsolete. We are old for thinking that way. So that's just how things are, okay? These young guys put red dots and Holosun sights on their firearms, on their handguns. I'm just going to use iron sights because that's what I'm used to. So let's get off to the side here. So it's pretty interesting to keep track of that info. So the kid did use a drone, picked a spot, saw the roof had nobody on it, and there was also a tree blocking the sight line to the Secret Service snipers, which, as I said the other night, Secret Service snipers actually shot through the leaves, which leads me to believe that they used some kind of equipment that they could see some kind of signature of the shooter. I don't know if it was heat signature or some other thing, but maybe he just saw him, whatever. It's possible. But anyway, the Democrats today were doing the same thing they were doing with the Secret Service. They were basically doing the gun control thing. Ray would not say that guns should be banned. He said that wasn't his opinion. They're trying to get him to say that assault-style AR rifles should be banned, because Ray knows as well as we do that an AR-15 doesn't use magic bullets, which is the other thing that seemed to be stuck in the Democrats' craw today. They're trying to get Ray to admit that Trump didn't get shot in the ear. So Ray said, well, I don't have that information, and basically just said it's either a shot or shrapnel. So, because we know it's not shrapnel. The teleprompters weren't broken. There was nothing else for it to be shrapnel on. So they're just trying to find a way to delegitimize the assassination attempt, take some drama away and say Trump's a big baby, when it's on video. Whether or not, to be honest with you, whether or not the bullet hit his ear, somebody tried to kill him. That's not in dispute. So it's just stupid, petty foolishness by these people. So anyway, Trump did his rally tonight. Looked like a pretty big arena in Charlotte. Hockey team plays there. And so that's pretty much most of the information that got said today that we didn't know. Important stuff to know. Puts a lot of things into context. Don't know if we'll ever know. They didn't find any kind of manifesto. He said they're still going through encrypted data on his phone. So everything he did on this phone was encrypted. And that's tough stuff to crack. So they'll get it eventually. So he might have uploaded something somewhere, a manifesto. He did say that he researched JFK's assassination. He researched JFK assassination distance. He wanted to know what the distance was for that shot. And things like that. So Anyway, it was interesting. A lot of it you can just fast forward through, like Adam Schiff asking the FBI director, if somebody has multiple felony accounts, can they work for the FBI? And Ray, was like, well, no, they wouldn't pass a background check. In other words, Trump's been convicted and he's going to be president and have the ability to fire Ray if he wants to. So that's, the Democrats always got to put on some kind of ridiculous, petty show like that, which is why I hate them. So Republicans at the thing today didn't really do anything like that. Which is good. No reason to. Protecting Trump is not the FBI's job. So anyway, that being said, yada yada yada, yada yada yada. So on the last walk yesterday, I passed that recycling bin that had those 4-gallon empty jugs in it. So I came back with my car, and I came back and picked those up. And we filled them up with water, and we're going to shoot them Saturday. So that's what we're going to do. Oh, I gotta go on the street. Sidewalk's uneven. And it's dark. Kind of dark. Now I'm sweating. I'm warm. And now not having sleeves feels good. So, these people are so petty. It's just Trump derangement syndrome. It's all about Trump, 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 Trumpity, Trump, Trump. How's the weather today? Pretty good, but Trump, Trump, Trumpity, Trump, Trump, Trump. Son of a bitch and Trump. Oh, thank you. That was interesting, So, polling. Polling is really comical right now. Extremely comical. The media is doing the stuff that got them in trouble with viewers, like flipping a switch. I told you that would happen. They're going to get the full media corporate machine to badmouth everything Trump says, does, looks at, smells. He sneezes, it'll be because he's racist. So they're in the process of doing that now. And Newsweek had the funniest article title I saw today, was that Trump voters are switching over and voting for Kamala. I'm like, Trump voters are abandoning Trump to vote for Kamala. That's right, that is the headline. And you're probably doing the same thing I did, and you busted out laughing when you heard it. But that was the Newsweek article title by an absolutely rabid Trump derangement syndrome suffering opinion writer for Newsweek. So everybody was having a good laugh on social media about that article. An Ipsos poll came out. Has Kamala Harris leading Trump by 2 points. 2 polls out of about 15 have Kamala Harris ahead. Obviously biased. Ipsos is That's the one I was telling you that it was reported, if you read the data for the poll, they oversampled Republicans, oversampled with the amount of Democrats. 7% more Democrats polled, and they had a very low pool for independents. So I saw another poll that said Kamala Harris was beating Trump with independents. That's also false. The most honest one I saw was today from CBS News. They did a poll. They said Trump is polling at 21% with black people, an absolute record by any Republican ever. 21%. Typically, Trump in 2016 did about 11%, so he's doing twice as many. And we don't know how accurate that poll is. It might actually be more than that. And I'm seeing a lot of hate on the internet from black people against Kamala. They don't like her. So that's all good news. Now, the other good news today, and I believe this is true, it was an anonymous source, but the source revealed that it was somebody in the Biden family, okay? So that's been confirmed. Somebody in Biden's circle, probably his brother or something. It could be some grandson or granddaughter. But basically it's in favor of Biden. And this was, the family member said that Barack Obama was speaking with the Bidens and said that he honestly does not believe Kamala Harris can beat Trump, which is why he has not endorsed Kamala Harris yet. So there you have it. And the prominent Democrats that have endorsed Harris is Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton, but that was initially after they initially did not. They said Biden should be the candidate. They were sticking with their guy Biden. So the Clintons and Obama are very close, okay? So I think we're going to see something going on with the primary coming up. Not the primary, but the convention, the Democratic convention. Because today's news cycle, not really being reported by the media, but you can find it, if you look, by reputable news sources. They just didn't put it on their evening news. That Black Lives Matter are absolutely incensed that Kamala Harris has been chosen like a coronation and the voters don't get a say. They are absolutely livid from what I read. That's Black Lives Matter. So I think between now and a couple weeks from now, when the Democratic convention happens, and you have to remember, Biden only dropped out, 3 days ago? So it hasn't been that long. They still got almost 3 weeks before the Democratic convention, 2.5 weeks. So if you get a whole bunch of these .orgs and these Marxist organizations upset with Kamala, because most black people don't like Kamala. They don't. That's why Obama doesn't think she's going to win, because she doesn't have the white vote. She's lost. She's doing about the same as Biden did with the black vote, a little bit less actually. So, you know, and this just happened. She hasn't really been out talking about policy. She's been out saying, you know, her usual talking points, but not talking about policy, what she plans on doing. So the Republicans are strategizing on things that she has said recently while she was in the Senate. A big one I think the Republicans are going to use is that she said ICE should be disbanded. Remember she said that in Trump's last year? That's when they were doing the migrant whipping, Border Patrol on horseback whipping migrants, fake news. And AOC doing their drink it out of the toilets, which was just prison toilets, basically government contracted stainless steel toilets that have a sink on the top with a water fountain on them. So yeah, it's a toilet that has a sink on top. So yeah, they're drinking off a toilet, they're not drinking out of the toilet. So Republicans are mounting all the things that she was talking about, the crazy talk that she has said, from not defunding ICE, but disbanding, getting rid of ICE and immigration entirely. And then a smart thing that was done by a Republican, probably didn't hear about it in the news, probably should have, is an articles of impeachment were filed against Kamala Harris by a Republican. Introduced, hasn't been voted on. It's not going to go anywhere, obviously. Everybody knows that. But the point will be made that it's on record that the Republicans feel that Kamala Harris was appointed by Biden as the border czar, which she was. You know, the media is trying to spin that and say that that never happened, but Biden's on video at a table saying it to the press. Everybody saw that. He did the same thing when he appointed her as a gun control person after she was done screwing the border up. So they intentionally screwed up the border, okay? Everybody knows that at this point. Has to be intentional. So anyway, you know, and there's still a lot of hate out there right now, actually, towards Trump. I was reading about a guy in Michigan, 80-year-old man. He was putting his Trump sign out, and a guy on an ATV circled back. He's got picked up on security cameras, circled back through a parking lot, and then he went and he ran over the 80-year-old man who put a sign back up. So the old man's in critical condition. He might not make it. And they're on a hunt for this guy on the ATV who had his whole body covered with stuff, and he had a helmet, because these people are so brave. So hopefully people because it wasn't exactly a huge town, so somebody knows him, okay? Somebody that owns an ATV that hates Trump. They'll catch him eventually. But I feel bad for the 80-year-old man. You should be able in this country to put a political sign on your lawn without somebody running you over to try to kill you. You know, call me kooky, but you know. So, say a prayer for that guy. I pray that the guy that did it gets caught. That's what I want. So, there's a lot of hate. It's going to get worse between now and the election. And if Trump wins, stay in your friggin' house, man. You know? Now today, they were protesting outside of the White House, in the Capitol, I should say. Benjamin Netanyahu, Bibi, was speaking with Congress. And of course, many Democrats boycotted and didn't show up. Rashida Tlaib showed up with a sign saying war crimes. She's sitting there with Congress with a friggin' holding up a black round disc with white letters on it that says war crime or crimes or something like that. So there was a Liberty Bell that was defaced with graffiti. Statues were spray painted with Free Palestine and all kinds of stuff. And these people are Marxist thugs. The Democratic Party right now are anti-Semites. They're racist. They're afraid to lose their young voters. So they're not saying anything, and they're not showing up when Netanyahu is speaking to Congress. But when Screwball there from Ukraine shows up, Zelensky, he gets all these nice checks with money presented to him in person in front of Congress. Those, remember that oversized check? And a Ukraine flag with members of Congress had their signatures on it. Remember that? Netanyahu, well, they don't show up. And in Ukraine, you actually have real Nazis. Not all of them, but they have them there. That's a fact. It's been proven. So that tells you where the Democratic Party is. And the other thing, this is big news. This is going to be a big news cycle this weekend, I think. James O'Keefe did his investigative journalism with the fundraising that Kamala did after Biden announced that he wasn't running. In 2 days, she's raised a record $81 million, okay? Small dollar donations, it says. It turns out it's false. It's a lie. I think the Federal Election Commission should file charges against whoever did it for Act Blue. Act Blue is the biggest fundraiser for Democrats. They're a PAC, more or less. They're associated with a PAC. And what James O'Keefe uncovered, and he's got it documented. He went door to door talking with these people. Act Blue lists their donors. One old lady donated $18,000. That's illegal. You can only donate a certain amount per donation. That is federal election rules. She donated $1,000 18 times in 2 days. So, and it was all smaller than $1,000. It was broken down to different amounts. Basically, James O'Keefe did the math on it, and he said it was not possible for one person to make those donations in a 48-hour period. You'd have to be donating several times an hour. So anyway, he knocked on the door and he's talking with her, and she said, no. She goes, once in a while I donate $5 to Biden. This was in Maryland, by the way, right outside DC. So this is like, they don't have far to go to do this. They used her name and her address, and they made donations in her name to get around election campaign law. So they broke the law. $18,000 worth of donations, and she was surprised. She was like, no. She goes, absolutely not. I did not donate that much. She had a look on her face like she was worried people were stealing her money. I said, no, nobody's stealing your money. They're using your name and your address. So she didn't like that. So that's how they're cheating, okay? That's the record amount that Kamala raised, twice as much as Trump, because that gives them a twice as much as Trump news cycle. And that also puts money in the war chest to fight against Trump, who is definitely winning in the polls against her. So they're pulling out all the stops, okay? So they just got caught doing that by James O'Keefe. And the mainstream media is going to say he's not a legitimate journalist. That's what they always do. But the internet is going to see it, and they're going to know it's real. So he has that all documented, interviews. He was right on this. So I think he had an anonymous source inside Act Blue. He didn't reveal that, but it's pretty obvious. And so that's going to be something to keep an eye on. You're not going to see it on CBS or ABC News. So, but you're going to hear Republicans talking about it, because they are going to know about it. And I would not be surprised if Congress calls people in with subpoenas. I think this year, right now, until the election, Republicans have to go on the offense. They need to have hearings, have stuff in public, because that's what the Democrats do. And so that's what they need to do. Even if the committee hearings don't come to anything, there'll be information and people on there admitting things. You know, and none of these congressional hearings, they don't have any prosecutorial power at all. That's not what it's for. It's for checks and balances. It's for giving the public the information, which is what it would do. So that should be interesting to see what comes out of that, because there is something there. He had about, he said there was at least a dozen more examples, and he only showed like 3. And these are all people that made small donations at one time, and then they used their name and address and made big donations in their name repeatedly, over and over again. So that is illegal, because if it wasn't, they wouldn't have to do that. See what I'm saying? So they got caught. We'll see what comes of it. Will it affect Kamala Harris? No, it's not going to affect her at all. But it will shine a light on their fundraising and how the Democratic Party washes money. And that's essentially, that's what it was, or is. It's they're laundering campaign money. Sneaky little bastards, huh? Sneaky little bastards. So I believe it's jamesokeefe.com. It's O-K-E-E-F-E, James O'Keefe. And I also want to mention my Rumble channel. I had originally said @Megatrends, because that's my username. But for some reason, my profile page for videos is @Jbeau. So a J and then B-E-A-U. So @Jbeau, if you type that in the search bar on Rumble, then my Rumble page will come up, which I don't have really anything on it right now. I did upload one of my walks just to test it. Took a while, but it uploaded and it looks good. And there is a video on there of me shooting a watermelon on the end of a bayonet. So that's good. I got a Trump Air Force One when he was president video on there, which I have on my other channel. So basically all this other stuff's on my YouTube channel anyway. There's no new, different content. But if you go to find my channel on YouTube someday and it's gone, look for me over there, because that's where I'll be. So it is misting right now. There's moisture coming out of the sky. I think it's more from low clouds, because there's no rain clouds around. There'll probably be a fog overnight, something like that. So that's the news I got on that. They were cheating. They got caught. They got caught. Hillary Clinton got caught violating financing, election law. She got a fine. With Trump, they stretched making a porn star payment into committing a crime to conceal another crime and making felonies out of that in New York. An unheard of, ridiculous, stupid, non-crime crime. It was at best a misdemeanor. So that one's going to get tossed. They're not getting the miles out of it they thought they were going to. Doesn't really seem to matter if people don't care if he's convicted felon or not. Because they know he got screwed over. That's why. They know that. So, it's not going to work. So, we still have a sentencing date coming up in September. If that judge has the friggin' gonads after everything that's happened, and Trump is the candidate officially now, to sentence Trump to actually confinement under house arrest, well, if I was Trump, I would ignore it. Can you imagine that? Trump ignored it and they issue a warrant for his arrest. Talk about free headlines, huh? And they can't handcuff him because he used to be president. So Secret Service won't allow it. It's a security risk. And they're not going to allow him to go into a prison either. These rabid idiots on the internet don't seem to understand that. Because they've dehumanized Trump. They don't feel he was a legitimate president, and he was. So, you know, and thankfully he wasn't killed, but it forced a lot of people to come out and say, hey, this is too much, too far, and it might affect what that judge does. If he had common sense, he'd just leave it alone, you know? Just give him a fine, you know? That's what they should do. And you still have people like Jack Smith looking for a new angle to continue prosecuting him. You know? It's almost like they can't tell how bad this stinks, or they don't care how bad it stinks. They're on a mission to destroy the man and get rid of him forever, thinking that this is going to end everything he's done, and it wouldn't. I'm telling you right now, and this is true, I think Van Jones on CNN got it right. If Trump had been killed, you would have had millions of people in this country probably out doing bad things, because the media killed him. All of this shit show they've been throwing on Trump, endlessly, over the top, ridiculous nonsense, everything from child rape to friggin' whatever else they're saying, I think people would explode. I was not happy when it happened. And at first, I was shocked, and I was angry. I was very angry. And then I saw him get up and hold his ear, and I knew he was going to be okay. So that really did a lot to relieve a lot of that tension. But we got a taste of what it would feel like if that happened to him, and I didn't like it, because it's not good. So I think there would have been a lot of trouble. Oh, is that a fox? Yep. I think that's a fox in the road just crossed. Looked like a gray fox. He stood in the road and looked at me. Too big to be a cat. His tail went out behind him and it was poofy, like a fox. I know you guys probably didn't see it. I just wiped off the lens in case there's some mist on it, because I'm getting mist on me. So, very interesting stuff going on, as usual. Trump at the rally tonight was saying, he said he heard some people saying, that, he was almost killed, and Now he's turned a new leaf and he's a lot nicer. And he goes, you know what? He goes, I don't really feel like being very nice. He goes, I'll try, but I don't think it's going to happen. I thought that was funny. So Kamala's already, laying up her, her rhetoric about, she's going to spend all her time talking about Trump, and she's not going to talk about policies. That's what she thinks she's going to get away with. And that's not going to work. People want to know what you're going to do as president, and she has said some outlandish things. Which is the problem with her, because she is a pothead, self-admitted. She likes the ganja. She likes to smoke the weed. So, but she has said some pretty far out things, man. She also is having stuff brought back up that hasn't been talked about since 2020. When she was fundraising for rioters, and the tweet that she made on then Twitter saying that people should donate to that, and she encouraged more people to go out and protest. And her tweet actually used the word rioters. So she knowingly was raising bail money to get these rioters that were arrested back out the same night so they could continue burning and looting the cities. Absolutely abhorrently disgusting. Impeachable. That's an impeachable offense. You don't have to be, well, she was a sitting senator, okay? She was an elected official. So that's fair game. And I think the Republicans need to go scorched earth and not worry about the media calling them racist. There was already a black woman on CNN tonight. Anybody that criticizes her for this or that, well, you know what it is. It's because they're racist. They're already using the R word, okay? So that's going to be the whole thing every day until the election. Racist, racist, nothing new. Nothing new. All the stuff that put them down in the polls to begin with, they're going to double down on everything. It's not going to work for them. It's not. It's gone by. It's gone. People do not believe Trump is what they say. That's it. People don't believe it. Or else Trump would have gone away. He wouldn't be nothing right now. Wouldn't be anything. So, I would not vote for a racist. I just wouldn't. He's not a rapist either. Says it right on the legal document in the check box. It was a civil case on top of that. It was not a criminal one. So even with a civil case where you don't need a burden of proof or evidence, they couldn't say he was a rapist. So they can go pound sand on that. Well, I'm getting wet a little bit. It's drizzling, misting, I guess. It actually feels nice because I'm sweating. My face is getting wet. Ground is starting to get wet. Crazy times we're in, man. Crazy times. Absolutely crazy. I think when I get back tonight, I'm going to cook some linguine. I'm going to have some linguine. And I got this ground turkey stuff. I like that with my pasta. About as good as beef. I like either or. Last time I made some was with beef. This time I'll do some turkey. Gobble, 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 gobble. So I want to wish well wishing for faithful viewer, V-Man, who knows who he is, Mr. Van Halen. And hope you and your lady are fine. If not, prayers are with you. I know sometimes things can be tough. We will endeavor to persevere. All right. We'll be at 3.5 miles soon. Yep, I'm just going off of my ear right now. 1 hour and 0 minutes and 36 seconds. 3.5 miles. My walking times have slowed. Notice that. Well, I was doing about 16 or 17 minutes per mile, and then we had a stretch when it was kind of chilly, and I was doing about 15 minutes per mile. And but I mean, I'm complaining about 16 something and 17 minutes per mile. I just got used to seeing 15 minutes, which is really, really good time. So 17 minutes per mile walking is not a bad time. Not in the least. When I first started walking, it was 21 minutes, I think. And I was only doing 2.5 miles. 3 miles if I felt spry. So now I'm doing 5 miles at least every day. I've done 6 miles twice this week. And top of my foot, on my right foot, is a little sore. Top of the arch on the top of my foot. And my left heel is a little sore from impacts walking. So when I get back, I'll kick my shoes off, take a shower, change my clothes. After I get out of the shower, I'll make some linguine. That should be good. I actually think the top bones on the top of my foot are sore right now because I have my sneakers tight. I think that's all it is. That's what it feels like. So what else? What else is there to talk about? I think that's big news with the Democratic convention coming up, with Obama not endorsing Kamala. Publicly, all he said was he thanked Joe for his service, said he made a good president, blah, 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 the usual, you know, the usual spiel. He has not endorsed Kamala. And he's not elected to office, so he doesn't have to. I think Hillary stuck by Biden at first. Bill did too. But then they reluctantly endorsed Kamala because everybody else was. I think secretly, because this is what happened when Biden stepped down. Obama, Hillary, and Bill Clinton didn't endorse Kamala, not until everybody else did. They endorsed Biden to stay where he was, remember? So some people are thinking that the DNC, Democratic National Convention coming up, they're going to have an open primary. Now, half of the delegates haven't said what they're going to do with their delegate votes yet. Kamala has enough right now from the other side. But if one side has more, and they give their delegates to somebody else besides Kamala, then it's not going to be Kamala. And But like I said, the aforementioned problem earlier is that the DNC went ahead and basically orchestrated a coup because the donors wanted Biden gone, and they pressured him until he was gone. And I told you, money, not like, you know, I know anything better than anybody else. I'm just saying I had mentioned it. I don't want to sound like, and I told you. No, it's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I had mentioned the obvious, that money talks, and that's the exact quote I used, that Sammy Hagar song. Money talks and suckers walk. So it's all about the money. The donors wanted Biden gone. The most convenient way to do it was to have Kamala, because she's already a name, and she's the only one that has access to the money because of election rules. So it's very interesting. Now they only have about 104 days now. 104 days to the election. A little over 3 months. That's it. They don't have much of a window, okay? Let's see. Into August, September, October, first week in November. Right around 3 months. It's coming. They're running out of time. They still got almost 3 weeks to get to the Democratic convention. And it doesn't look like they're going to try to force it ahead of time like Adam Schiff wanted. Initially, some Democrats tried to get it pushed up ahead because they wanted to get Biden secured in place. They wanted the DNC to change the rules to hold on to Biden because they don't like Kamala. It's not their first choice. She is not a good candidate. And we're going to see that. Right now she's riding a high because they finally got rid of Biden, blah, blah, blah. But now she's going to be out campaigning, talking about policy, and she thinks she's going to be able to get away with just bad-mouthing Trump for an hour out of her hour and 20-minute speeches, thinking that will suffice. So she's going to have to talk about policy. And the biggest area she's vulnerable in was a little group interview that happened on MSNBC earlier today, and it looks like MSNBC host didn't expect it. But there were six Democrat voters they were talking to in Wisconsin. I'm not joking, okay? I'm not exaggerating. I don't know why they picked these particular people. All 6 of them, all of them, said Kamala Harris was not being honest with Joe's condition, and they're not happy with it. One of the women said, you know, if she knew this and she didn't say anything about it, what else is she hiding? Or what would she hide about herself? In other words, we don't trust her because she got caught covering for Joe Biden. Now, the MSNBC host tried to say, well, there's no proof or evidence that Biden stepped down because of his health. That's what they actually tried to say. And you could actually see them kind of go like, look at each other like, come on. We watched the debate, okay? He's not well. So they're really trying to fluff up Kamala with fake polls, inflated polls, crooked polls, and also crooked fundraising. And they're using the media. They're using the media to sell it like they always do. Now the good news is the media is not effective as it used to be. It just isn't, and everybody knows that now. They don't trust the media anymore. And that was mostly due to their COVID coverage. Everything from if you get vaccinated, then you won't spread the virus. Remember that? Making excuses for states that were blue, that were firing people for not getting the vaccine shot, losing their jobs and careers. Well, actually, they lost more than jobs. They lost their career in that state. So, you know, there's a lot of abuse the public has taken, and they know it's the media's fault. And they don't have very many friends. They get 25% of the TV viewing that view news and stuff like that, and that's it. They're always going to have those because they're freaking stupid, you know. And so there you have it. And so anyways, it's going to be interesting to see what the, you know, because it was just 3 days ago Biden stepped down and they're already shoving polls out, okay? Like they mean something this early. And I had said on my last walk, it's going to be at least a week, maybe 2 weeks before you start seeing the after assassination attempt polls. In fact, I think there's a couple, 3 of them that are going to come out tomorrow. I don't remember what polling company, but I think this week and next week they're going to realize that Kamala is not a good candidate. And they're just riding a current high because Joe stepped out and people are relieved. Now they're going to be thinking about, oh my God, it's Kamala. And then in 3 weeks, we get that open convention. So I think the DNC is waiting to see what the public thinks of Kamala with their real polls that they have. And I can tell you they don't look good because Obama, that Biden family member, leaked that to the New York Post. So they're still sabotaging Kamala. So they're angry about it. Joe Biden did not want to step down, but he had to. So now they're leaking information. And they're leaking it to a news organization that's actually going to take it seriously because obviously I don't think they trust the liberal ones, or else they would have leaked it to them. New York Times and Washington Post were throwing Biden under the bus. CNN went against Biden. NBC was basically the only one left that was kind of supporting Biden till the end there. So everybody else was done with them. And I think they had, like I had mentioned on walks, that they actually had fake polls making Biden look like he was losing worse than he was. But they might have been accurate. They might have finally just said, okay, let's do accurate polling. They're horrible. So we'll never know that, but I guess the point I'm making is they're trying to fluff up Kamala right now with crooked polls to lock her in as a candidate, because that's what the donors want. And Kamala's a socialist. These globalist corporate idiots, and a lot of them aren't very bright politically. They're not. They're socialists. They're just, they don't care about your rights, liberties. They get the money and they want to shape this country into what they want it to be. And they want to destroy this country. That's what Trump means by that. So they want Kamala because she's a socialist. She's a puppet. She'll do what they want her to. So she's going to be all, oh, Joe. And then behind closed doors, she's a B word. And I say that because she has had 47 aides in 3.5 years quit because she is so difficult to get along with. She's a prima donna. She's spoiled. She's the worst person you could possibly pick to be president. And I think Obama knows that. He knows California politics are not going to win elections in this country. And Trump's not going to lose. And they know that. And he knows that. So we'll see what the Democrats officially do. But I'm telling you right now, if they do something, it's going to be because voter backlash for having their votes they made for Joe thrown in the garbage and just doing what they want to do without having the voters choose. So I think if anything is different from that, it'll come from that. So we'll see. Pretty interesting stuff, huh? At least I don't talk about a whole bunch of stupid stuff, you know? This is stuff that's affecting everybody right now. You know, that's the other thing too. Kamala has that baggage. It was the Biden-Harris ticket. So Biden's policies that people are upset with are her policies. She's going to have to completely denounce Biden. And she will. She will. She has to. So, you know, a lot of people seem to suspect, probably correctly, that they are going to throw Biden under the bus, like they haven't done to enough to him already, right? So I think that's why we got that leak to the New York Post, and it's probably going to be other leaks coming out. Yep. That only broke about 5 hours ago. I don't think Obama's had a chance to answer it. He'll probably deny it, say it's not true. But the New York Post did confirm that it was a Biden family member. That is confirmed. It's not a rumor. It's not a rumor. So I don't know what you think of that. I'm still processing it too. Well, a lot of that misting has light up now. Must have been a little poof that went by. It didn't show up on radar or something. On radar. I want it to show up on radar. So hot diggity, huh? I think I'll go this way. 4.5 miles we just hit. Four and a half miles. Didn't intend to walk as far as I did tonight, but that's where we are. We just walked by the crabapple tree, which had some really nice blossoms on it this spring. Now it's making little green apples. So all of these idiots, they had Ukraine flags outside their houses and porches at the beginning, which really wasn't many anyway. I counted about 3 on my walk. Now they're all gone. They're all gone, like our tax dollars that paid for that stupidity. Because of these globalist idiots. I think the United States is an endless friggin' money pit reserve. That's why groceries are expensive. And it is Bidenflation. Don't let anybody tell you different. It's all this spending they did. So one of the glaring things I saw today that is just to prep you for what's coming when the polls even out and we start seeing the real polls. 18 to 35-year-olds, okay? Trump is up 19 points over Kamala. New poll that came out today. This is post-assassination attempt. So after the assassination attempt, her numbers went backwards and Trump's went up significantly with 18 to 35-year-old men. That's really important. That includes blacks, Hispanics, Jews, everybody. That is a big deal. Trump is still sorely lacking with females, though. He really is. So, Trump is still doing well with Hispanics. And as I told you earlier, a lot of the polling today had Trump at 15% with blacks, and I knew that was wrong. CBS and ABC both have around 20%. That's pretty accurate. So, they're fudging the numbers with the independents right now, from what I noticed. I looked at the numbers from about 15 different polls, how many were polled, sampling sizes, doing analysis, because you can't trust the media to do it for you anymore. And their websites always post a link to the polls, PDFs or whatever. So you can actually look, or they'll have a link to the website that it's on. So that's what I did. Two of them were ridiculously unbalanced. Half of the other ones were inflated with oversampling of Democrats, and Trump was still leading by 3-4 points. So Trump is really leading by probably between 5 and 9 points. More than what they say in the polls. So that's just my best guess. You know, I said Biden was going to step down because he had to, and I said 72 hours. Well, it actually turned out to be longer than that, but I wasn't that far off, about a week. It was inevitable. So, Trump's lead is bigger than what it is, what it says on the polls, okay? Because they're all liberal polling companies. One of the websites I clicked on, the whole website was full of green climate change stuff. It had, and they had our photo for the webpage. It was this black guy, real hip-looking young guy, and you know, it's all geared towards leftist. So, you know, and Kamala's trying to raise money. You can't put Trump 9 points ahead of Kamala. She won't raise a dime. People are like, I ain't gonna give her my money. She's gonna lose. So they try to keep it close, and that's what they do. That's what they're doing right now. But Obama knows they do that, and so did these other prominent Democrats. So they're not really on board with all that. And now Obama could come out tomorrow and endorse Kamala because he's getting asked about it. But what I'm saying is if he doesn't, then you know something's cooking, I guess is what I'm saying. And it has to do with an open convention. Because Kamala has not been anointed yet. So, like I said at the beginning of this walk, Black Lives Matter has already issued a statement that they're not happy with the Democratic Committee. That came out just a few hours ago today. They're not happy that voters are being usurped and disregarded because they don't like Kamala, black people that is. They don't consider her really being black because she's not. You know, she's had a very privileged life. And her parents are from Jamaica and India. And she's married to a Jewish guy, and they have 2 adopted Jewish kids. So that's just the truth of it. That's not somebody that their voters care about. They don't like people like that. And we're going to see that. So Trump's going to come out, which he has been, and he's going to say, you know, I took a bullet for democracy. I'm not trying to destroy it. And oh, by the way, no tax on tips. Now, you know, a lot of people that are poor, they work service jobs. They live on tips, whether they're washing cars or whatever you're doing. And it's basically your money. You should be able to keep it. And I think he is going to hit on a certain cylinder with young people who are paying more money for everything, okay? And some of these young people are not very savvy with planning their money, and they like to spend money, okay? You're a kid. 18, 19 years old, you want the latest video game that comes out, it's 50 bucks and you only get 30. So no tax on tips is going to be, that's going to resonate. And it will get him some votes. It will, because everybody likes money. Everybody likes money. Now at the end of this year, the Trump tax cuts run out. So people that were getting less taxes are going to get taxed more automatically. So, you know, that's another reason to vote for Trump, because he said those will stay in place, especially if you give him Congress, which it looks like they're going to do, actually. And right now, the Republicans are not talking about abortion. They're ignoring it like they should. Just stop talking about it. So they've been going off on this Project 2025 nonsense. It's not Trump's, okay? It's some radicals in the party, just like the Democrats has the radicals, AOC and all these people. You know, you got Rashida Tlaib in Congress tonight with the anti-Israel sign. Serving member of Congress, and she has an anti-Israel sign. Like, give me a break. She should be thrown out. So, anyway, very interesting stuff, for sure. Oh, we got an El Rodeo Mexican restaurant opening. El Rodeo, or El Rodeo. I think it'd be Rodeo. These cars here are all Little Joe's Bar and Grill, Wednesday night. Little Joe's. Is it ladies' night tonight, Wednesday, or something like that? They got a pretty good crowd. Karaoke every Wednesday. Karaoke says right there. Karaoke. Gas still $3.41. Price of gas ain't coming down. It's going to be going up. This is actually the travel time between now and the election. It'll go down a smidge before the election. highly recreational marijuana dispensary. 21 and over. You can see the pot leaves painted on the wall in the back. So that's new. There's one right up the street here. There's one over here. There's two more down the road here, all in this same stretch. Everybody is selling weed. If they're paying pretty good money on taxes, that's fine, but I don't believe that for a second. I think they got a tax break. I don't know for sure. I need to look that up. Let's see what these, because they're all in Lewiston. They don't have any in Auburn. They're all over here. So that's all I can think of is they're getting a tax break. Because usually businesses leave Lewiston and go to Auburn. So either they can't get a permit over there or something, I don't know. I'm gonna look into it. I'm on the case. All right, we're over 5 miles now. This breeze feels really nice. I'm nice and sweaty. Not misting anymore. Cut across here. My stomach's empty. It's starting to growl. I am hungry. I'm gonna have to snackify on something while I cook the pasta because I think I'll be impatient waiting for it. I'll probably end up eating it while it's still crunchy. Probably not. Anyway, my friends, we'll wrap this up. Had a good walk tonight. We'll wait for this loud abomination to go by. That is loud and annoying, whatever it is. But anyway, thank you for walking with me. Click like and subscribe, share the content, and I'll wait till I walk by this person here. Right. And she couldn't be bothered. I don't blame her. Too many weirdos out there. I'm not one of them, but you never know, right? Anyways, thank you for walking with me. Hope you have a nice night. And oh, pizza. That would be good. Have a good night, everybody. Bye-bye.